I am Rebecca Leland. I mainly am a CASA in Whitley County. I am a part-time home-based therapist working in Allen County. I moved to Fort Wayne about 4.5 years ago. I started working and then I took a break from the social service field, but I knew I needed to stay involved and just kind of do something with my passion, working with people. And I came across CASA. So I applied to be a volunteer, and I've been a CASA for 1.5 years, going on 2. It's been awesome, a great experience. And I love the people I work with.
So on top of your volunteer role and your actual career role, you also have a family, do you not?
I do have a family. I am a mom to 2 children. My son is 17, getting ready to go to college. And my daughter is, 13. So she's in 8th grade. So she'll be going to high school next year. My husband works at SDI up in Butler, and that's actually why we moved to Fort Wayne from Indy for his job. I'm originally from the Chicago area, so Fort Wayne is a new community for me, and I'm just learning about each county, and new places are popping up, having to visit families and meeting with people.
And to brag on Rebecca for a minute, so not only are you a volunteer on one case, you will take probably any case we throw at you. So
is that what you guys do?
Not all of them, I suppose, but yeah, I mean, so you just live this busy life of work and volunteering and caring for teenagers, which is that's a job in and of itself. And you're also a wife and you maintain your home. So you have many roles and hats that you are wearing while being a CASA volunteer. So I'm going to go into our next question. It is, what does it mean to you to be a CASA advocate?
I've thought about this. I was like, why did I volunteer? And my passion, which I didn't really know what it was until I started my career in education, was to actually be an advocate for kids, work with kids and teens. I somehow have this ability to connect with teenagers and children. And when I wasn't working, I needed to fulfill that part of my life. And so being a CASA fit that role without even really understanding how it would. But just being there for the kids, having a voice, and it's so important to tell them that I am your voice. And once they get that relationship with the CASA, it's really meaningful. So and that's my passion, is that definitely advocacy as with my career and, just volunteering. It just kind of all fits together for me.
Awesome. Yes, and you do it so well, I will add. So our next question, what is your favorite moment or your favorite success story of being a CASA volunteer? And this could be just one small victory that you've had or the whole outcome of a case.
And it's interesting to think of what's successful in these kind of cases. So I love the process. I love to see, I like to reflect on, the first time that you meet the kids and talk to the parents and talk to DCS, and then just kind of building on those relationships and seeing how we're constantly communicating to the family that we're your support, use us. So recently we had a single mom that we stressed highly to leave a domestic violent relationship. It wasn't easy, and she did things that I wasn't approving of, and she was still in contact with this man, but today she left him, has a protective order. She's worked hard and she got her own apartment. So there were a lot of bumps to this point, even to the point that I wanted the kids removed. But she's starting to use us as supports, that she needs that. So it's very meaningful, and to kind of just slowly see the people trust us. And I say us, and I mean the CASA, I mean, the case managers, the FCMs.
Yeah, when we're on these cases, we really kind of integrate ourselves into their lives and have these personal moments with them. And if I recall on this case, the youngest child in this family used to call him the mean man. Is that right?
Yeah, and still does. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, you having that impact in the family, especially for the kids to get that man out of their life and out of mom's life so they can move forward in a healthy way. That's really neat. Thank you for sharing that. What would you tell someone who's considering being a volunteer?
That it is such a meaningful experience when we reflect, even though things may become frustrated or people aren't doing what we think they should be doing. That it is a process for this family, how important it is for the family to improve. That, this is a hard question for me because I have a dual role, like I have to put my therapist hat to the side and just be a CASA, especially during FCMs. Like, I have to just kind of take in information, maybe say a recommendation and leave it at that, when my therapist brain is like, oh my gosh, you need this, and you need to get in therapy. And but and it's taken me probably a good year to just, remember, just sit back, listen, and take note of and reflect on what's best for this family as a whole. Oops, sorry. And we are the advocate for the children, but for the children, we're an advocate for the family too, that is so important in how these kids grow up, how they learn to deal with relationships, how they learn how to deal with conflict, how they learn to deal with using supports that are there for them. So it's like this whole trusting process. So anyone that says, I want to work with kids, I mean, this is it. This is like, if you want to work with kids and get them to a healthy spot, this encompasses everything in very stressful situations for the parents.
Yes, I would absolutely agree. And you touched on something really important about taking off our different hats to be that specific CASA advocate. And I know a lot of our volunteers, they have background in education. They have background in different fields that when they come into this CASA role, they're like, okay, my focus is not, is this child getting perfect grades? My focus is not, is this child in a clinical setting because they need to be. Focus is on the child as a whole. What makes this child, and how can I help them? So yeah, it's definitely very important when being a CASA volunteer is knowing which hat you can wear at what time. So just my last thing for you, Rebecca, what is one thing people need to know about what CASA does? Because we got a big job.
We do. And I think it's bigger than what I thought. Working in Whitley County, I realized how influential our input is. And, I haven't worked in other counties, but I believe it's moving that direction. And it's almost, I think maybe I heard from you that we also can look at this as we're the eyes for the judge. Like, that's why we have to go and talk to people. We have to see the kids. Like, if you think this guy or this woman as the judge making a decision, how much would you want to know? and how many people you need to talk to, and build that relationship so that you can get an understanding of what's best for this child. So it is a lot of information gathering. I'm still trying to figure out, like, oh, can I call this person? How do I talk to this person? Can I call the dentist? It's like, you just think each case is so unique and things are always different, that I'm learning new things, and how, yeah, CASA has this power actually, that to get this information so that someone as a team too can make such important decisions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's another good point you brought up too, is that so the judges, we are the eyes and the ears of the judge. So
Yeah.
that is exactly what we say at CASA, because most people don't know we are appointed by judges only. And people kind of get that role mixed up sometimes, and they get a little confused about why CASA is there or who lets CASA be there. But we are appointed by the judge to know what's going on in that child's life. So I'm really glad you touched on that, because that is definitely important.
And I'll have to say, like, being a therapist, working with kind of the same population, I have more influence and power, like, if I should say, being a CASA. And my voice is heard being a CASA rather than a therapist.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. Thanks for spending your morning with us and just going over these questions. So thank you.
You're welcome.